You're watching Byline Wilmington on CBS 10 WILM. Here's your host, Don Ansell.
Okay, welcome back. We're talking with folks from the Cape Fear Public Utility Authority this morning. Joining us, well, first, Brett McAbee, who's the Chief Financial Officer for the Authority, has been with us in our first segment. We're joined in this segment by Jim Fleckner, who is the Engineering Manager, and he's going to oversee and is overseeing many of the projects that the Authority is undertaking. We'll talk to you about what some of those are, but how did you get to join the team of the Authority?
Well, I'd been with the city for 15 years or so, and when the Authority formed, it was a great opportunity to be part of a new organization and part of something great for the community. So I came on over, and it's been a lot of fun ever since.
It has.
It sure has.
It's a nice way to spend your time. We were chatting off camera. You're from Jersey.
I was born there. Yeah. That's correct, right?
How'd you get down here?
I went to school down here, married my wife down here, and have been here ever since.
She's from here?
From Virginia.
Oh, from Virginia.
Yes, uh-huh.
So your family moved here, you went to school here?
Went to school here, pretty much raised here.
Okay. We're going to talk about some of the projects that you're working on, but before we do that, Brent, I want to talk about the rate structure. I'm not sure people understand how that was arrived at, so can you give us a little insight to that?
The city and county had a rate structure which was a volume-based rate structure where you
The more you use, the more you were charged.
Well,
the rate was the same, but
the rate was the same. City and county had basically uniform rates.
Right.
Every 1,000 gallons of water, if you use 1,000 and you use 50,000, costs the same amount.
Okay.
We went to what's called a tiered rate structure, where we have 9,000 gallon blocks. The first 9,000 gallons is at $1.95, the second 9,000 at $2.95, and anything over 18,000 is $3.95. That type of rate structure is based on what's called cost of service. What does it cost to provide a certain amount of water to a household? And the theory and the basis behind it is that if you use a substantial amount of water, say 50,000 gallons in the summer, only 10,000 gallons in the winter months, we have to maintain capacity year-round to deliver that 50,000 gallons. You only deliver it 2 or 3 months in the summer.
Because in most businesses, you get a discount for volume, but not in this.
No.
Is this to encourage conservation?
It is to encourage conservation, but it's also about recapturing the actual cost of providing those peak demand from primarily irrigation.
And that's the rate structure that's in place right now?
That is the rate structures in place.
And how long will that be good for?
The current rates will, we've scheduled to really have rate adjustments annually.
Annually. What about the largest users, like commercial and businesses, Corning, New Hanover Regional Medical Center, GE? Are their billing rates different?
They did not go up substantially. Water went up some from the city rates. City was $2.38 a thousand. Now it's $2.95 a thousand.
And are they on a tiered?
They are not on tiered.
Why is that?
Because they have fairly consistent year-round usage. The university, the hospital, we know their demand is going to be fairly uniform.
But a consumer that may be consistent still has to abide by that tiered structure. Why shouldn't businesses that use large amounts of product be held to the same standard?
They don't use large amounts of product in a short period of time that requires a facility to basically be idle, our water plant. For residential watering, we're idle 9 months a year, and then we have 3 months, July, August, June, July, August, where we have very high demands. And that's the difference between residential and commercial. Commercial tends to be very even demand over the entire year.
But their rates, even their lowest rate, is lower than residential rates. Is that true?
No, that's not.
It's not.
The residential rate for the under 9,000 gallons is $1.95 a thousand, which is actually less than what the city was charging, slightly more than the county's rates.
One of the biggest issues that really forced the two governments to get serious about consolidating their water and sewer units were the sewer spills. And we don't hear much about sewer spills anymore. What's changed? Maybe you could answer that, Jim.
Well, a lot of work has been done to improve the reliability of the system and expand the system in terms of upgrades to our pipes, making sure our pump stations are are up and running the way they should be in terms of capacity. We also have a lot of large projects that are going to address the longer term needs. We have the short term issues that are underway, but the long term issues in terms of plant expansions. We just completed the North Side wastewater treatment plant.
That's on North 23rd Street.
Right, and people see it coming out from the airport. And that was about an $80 million project that takes the wastewater that's generated by the community, filters it, cleans it, and returns it to the river in actually a cleaner state than it is when we take it from the river. So it's good for the environment and it's good for the community.
Now you increased the volume that plant can handle. Is that
right?
this
It's
upgrade?
just upgraded.
$80 million upgrade.
Yes, up to 16 million gallons per day that can treat when it's up and running.
What is, and that takes into consideration future growth?
It
for
does.
for
We're
that
planning for
area?
growth. We've master planned, and infrastructure for water and sewer can't lag growth. We have to be either with growth or ahead of it, unlike transportation, which tends to lag.
Was it behind the curve before the authority undertook
No,
this
it
expansion?
wasn't. But that's what's so important about these
Keeping ahead.
projects is staying ahead, tracking growth, and making sure our master plans and our budgets predict it and are ahead of
Yeah.
it.
How do you pay for $80 million expansion?
It does take rate increases. I think when we went into business last July, the county and city had started 3 major projects the prior year. The Sweeney plant expansion, a water plant in the Porter's Neck
Sweeney's
area.
is down in the
Off of North 3rd Street. It's the city's water plant that was actually built originally in the 40s. We're $80 million project to expand that, replace some of the older part of the plants. A $40 million water project in the Porter's Neck area, a new plant.
a whole new plant
Whole new plant.
to handle.
New Hanover County had started construction on in November of '07. But those, what it added up to was over almost $180 million of projects that the authority had to issue debt for last August to pay for.
Issue debt means you put the revenue bonds.
We sold revenue
you
bonds.
Sold revenue bonds.
It essentially doubled the level of debt on water and sewer in New Hanover County. And that is what the rates are driven by, that amount necessary to repay those revenue bonds.
We'll talk more about repaying these bonds, how that's going to happen, and some of the other projects that the authority wants to undertake. It's my understanding that you want to do about $600 million worth of improvements. We'll talk about that when we come back. Stay with us.